Okay, this is counting atoms. This is for lesson 5. You should be just barely finished with Mastery Check 1, and this is the first lesson after that. Okay, you will need this paper from the supply shelf. It's called Counting Atoms. It's on the top shelf of all of the papers. Okay, now, counting atoms. What is a chemical formula? What is a chemical formula? Well, chemical formula represents a molecule and uses symbols to show the number of atoms of each element. So chemical formula represents a molecule and uses symbols to show the number of atoms of each element in that molecule. So what are the parts of a chemical formula? There are a couple different parts of a chemical formula. Let's start with the chemical symbol. Okay, the chemical symbol. Elements are represented by either 1 or 2 letter symbols. 1 or 2 letter symbols. The first letter of an element is always a capital letter, and the second letter will be lowercase. So these are some examples of some chemical symbols. So you see how sodium, the first letter is uppercase, and the second letter is lowercase. So that means that this entire thing is one symbol. And then carbon only has one letter, and that one letter is uppercase. Chlorine is Cl, so the C is capitalized and the L is lowercase. So when you see a lowercase letter, it always belongs to the letter right before it. Okay. Now the next one is a subscript. A subscript is the little tiny numbers down here. So little tiny numbers down here. The subscript tells you the number of atoms of a particular element and only refers to the element that it is behind. If there is no subscript, there is only one atom of that element. So let me explain. Here we have Ca, and we know that this entire thing is one element because this is uppercase, this is lowercase. And because there is no number right here, when there is no subscript, there's only one atom of that element. So there is only one calcium atom. And then here we have our chlorine atom here. And our chlorine atom, there's a 2 here. So the 2 only refers to that one. So that there are 2 chlorine atoms. Okay. Now, our next one is called a coefficient. So a coefficient is a number that is placed in front of a chemical formula. You must multiply the coefficient by the subscript to find out the number of atoms of each element. Okay, so for this one we have carbon, and then we have oxygen. So we have 2 things, carbon and oxygen. And the 4 is going to be multiplied to everything inside. It's like this 4, we're going to say there's 4 of this and 4 of this. So when we multiply 4 times, well, the carbon doesn't have a subscript, but we know it should be 1. Because if there's none, it's 1. 4 times 1 is 4, so there are 4 carbon atoms. And then we're going to take 4, we need 4 of this. Do you see how there's a 2 here? We have 2 here. So we need to multiply 2 oxygen by 4, which is 8. So that's how you do a coefficient. And the very last one is parentheses. When we have parentheses looks like this, where we have parentheses like this. Okay, So what the parentheses do is we are going to multiply the subscript that is outside the parentheses by the number of the atoms that are inside. Oh, inside. Ooh, that wasn't my best. That's okay. Inside the parentheses. So what I mean is we have this symbol right here. We have this symbol right here. And we have this symbol right here. This one is lead, this one is nitrogen, and this one's oxygen. Lead is a 1, right? When there's nothing, there's a 1, and there's a 1 right there too. So there's only one of this. It is not in a parentheses. There is no coefficient in the front, so that means there is just one of these. Nitrogen, there's 1 here, but look, it's inside the parentheses. And it says we're going to multiply the subscript that's outside with what's inside. So we have 2 on the outside, and we're going to multiply that by the 1 that's inside. So we have 2 nitrogen atoms. And then with oxygen, because there's 3 oxygen here, and there's a 2 on the outside and a 3 on the inside, we're going to multiply 2 times 3, so there is 6 oxygen atoms. Okay, this is how you are able to read the parts of a chemical formula. On the other side of this paper, when you flip it over, you'll see all of these formulas, and it has the names of all of the all the elements that are inside this molecule, and you're going to write down the number of atoms of each of these using the rules or the 4 parts that I just explained to you. If you're confused or you don't remember the part, rewind this video. You can pause wherever you need to help you finish this worksheet.